So Sue, we're going to try something like an experiment based on both of our intuition.
Right, okay.
Okay, all right, it's going to be a weird one because essentially we're going to perform a ritual to see how our intuition works.
Okay.
All right, I'll explain more about that later. But in essence, you're going to be thinking of any playing card, and then you're simply going to spell to that card, which will bring you to a random card.
Okay.
And then we'll see if something magical happens. Okay. So you know the cards in the deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just think of any card for me. You can change your mind as many times as you like. It can be any card.
Okay, I've got one.
You've got one. I think actually we'll do it this way. Look, I'll shuffle these up.
Yeah.
So you have no idea what card you'll spell to. And whatever that card is, you're going to turn away and you're going to secretly spell it.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So if I sent the 7 of spades, right, I would spell one card per letter, but I'll do it silently, right? So SEVENOFSPADES.
Okay.
Whatever you spell, just park those underneath, and then this will bring you to a random card.
Okay.
This is the card. Do not look at it until I tell you to, but you're going to take it secretly and hold it against your heart.
Okay.
Now, when I tell you to look at it, you look. I've seen this one, and that's mine, because I told you we're doing this together. Think of any card. Again, you've probably got one, but you can change even to the last second. But turn away so I can't see or hear anything. And yeah, in your own time, spell to your thought of card. This ritual will bring you to a random card, and we'll see if something magical can happen. Whoa, I love this. It's going to be good.
Okay.
That was quick. That was great. So you're covering the card against your heart. I can't see it. You haven't looked yet.
No.
Okay, so this is it, right? In a moment, I'm going to tell you to look at that card.
Okay.
And you're going to see something. And I want to tell you, or I want you to tell me if you feel that you're pretty close to it. So take a deep breath in. And look at the card now. There's a similarity, right? How close are you? You're kind of close. It's the same colour, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a different suit, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I'm seeing that, by the way, because one of them I'm seeing is very pointy and the other one's very curved. And I'm also getting a sense of the colour because I told you this is about our intuition. So I'm kind of picking up on things as we go. I'm going to try something crazy here. I want you to imagine both of these cards are real, the one in your head and the one in your hand. Which of these two cards, if you were to compare them, has more detail on it? The one in your head or the one against your heart?
The one against my heart.
Okay, so that's going to be way more difficult. I'll start with that. I want you to focus on that now for me.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the one with the soft lines. It's kind of curvy.
Yeah.
I'm seeing black. You don't have to confirm. So I'm going to go with a club. And I'm also seeing an imbalance there. But also, you can't stop thinking of the one in your head. And the one in your head, I'm seeing there's 4 pips. And there's one in the middle. This is the 5 of spades that you're thinking of. Literally any card. But I'm seeing what you see. Oh my gosh. And the one in your hand, just take one last look at it. And hand me, I'm going to go with the 7 of clubs. 7 of clubs?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We got there. Sue, you did such a great job. I love it. Actually, hold on to the 7 for a sec because we haven't finished. I forgot to tell you, it was a bizarre experience because this ritual can actually make you believe in things that aren't there.
Okay.
Genuinely, right?
Yeah.
This is not like a pick a card trick.
Yeah.
This is way different, right? It's now that I tell you that maybe all of this was imagined. Like the card in your head, it doesn't actually exist. This card here, when I held it up and I looked at it, well, it doesn't exist. In fact, when I shuffled these before we began, and I got you to spell, it didn't matter, because none of these cards are real. Like, none of them have ever been real. In fact, all of these cards are blank. There's no paint on them, there never has been, just like the card in your head and the card in your hand.
Oh my God, we just saw it.
I've got goosebumps because
I just saw it.
I feel it, literally.
How?
I hope the camera's getting this.
all the cards.
I know, it's a bizarre experience.
How have you done that?
You can keep these actually, Sue. I want to gift them to you so you remember this moment.
Well, I now get to do something which I have never done before in, I think, the history of my time working at Vanishing Ink, which is I get to host an explanation. And I'm particularly excited for you to learn what you're about to learn, because I have now worked with Christian since level 1, which was your first product that you put out. And I've got to watch Christian's process over the years, and I've got to see lots of the ideas he's developed, some of which have made it to market, some which have not. And I can say hand on heart that Hex is not only one of the cleverest magic tricks I've ever seen, it is one of the most well thought out, interesting premises, clean, amazing magic tricks that you could possibly conceive. So I obviously know a little bit about this trick. We have spoken about it for a long time, but this is the first time that you are going to talk me through and talk everyone at home through the entire method. So I'm going to hand over now to the man of the moment, Christian Grace.
Thank you so much, George, for that lovely introduction. And I'll meet you halfway to say that you've done a fantastic job on producing this to a very high quality
Well,
standard.
it's come out amazing.
It has.
Everything
really has.
is fantastic.
And I think the best way to do it, I mean, today we're going to teach 3 routines with this gimmick that you receive. So one of those routines is the blank deck kicker, which you would have seen potentially in the trailer. We're going to do like a hypnotized version where you let more people in on the secret before you even perform it on the spectator. And then we'll look at adding the gimmicks that we provide to a regular deck, which is for more of a kind of mentalism with cards, casual performance that you can do, anytime, anywhere type thing. So those 3 routines we'll get to, but first I want to talk about some crediting. In terms of the main effect, which is the blank deck kicker, I have to pay homage to Dean Dill and his fantastic trick Blizzard, Josh J with Out of Sight.
Yes.
Amazing trick. And with regards to the method of this, which is kind of a mixture of an actual spelling system with a crib, I want to pay respect to Ramon Riobu because I studied his work on spelling systems and it kind of got me on that path, that way of thinking. And my good friend Michael Murray.
Michael Murray, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, definitely. He has a project that he released many years ago called Springboard, and it was just sort of sitting at the back of my mind throughout this whole process. And main credit of inspiration goes towards him. We brought all of that together to create Hex, and we'll look at what we get in the box. So
nice.
Inside the box, you'll receive a deck of cards. This is a mandolin back deck, which actually the box is a trick as well, in a way. So first off, on the top of the box, we put the title of the trick. So if you're indexing your decks at home, you know where your Hex deck is. But also on the bottom is really interesting. It's important. Where the barcode is, you actually have 6 cards that are printed.
Let's actually make sure the camera gets that as
Yeah,
well.
and we'll put some animations on screen, but you've got the 6 of clubs, the 5 of clubs, the 7 of clubs, the 7 of hearts, the 9 of diamonds, and the 7 of diamonds. Now, those 6 cards are really important or integral to the system, and we'll get to that in a moment. But there's your crib for later on. It'll help you remember how to set it up and the order which the cards have to go in. So inside the box, you will receive a blank deck of cards. One of these blank cards will have tiny little dots on the face in each corner. That's a very secret thing that we're going to modify in a moment. But we'll put that aside.
We should also say that if for whatever reason you can't see the dots on your card, I promise they are there. That's okay, you can take any other card and mark it yourself.
Yeah, and the marking, I'll tell you why that is later on. I'll tell you how I modify this card and I'll show you how I like to use it. The reason we mark the face is to use it in a different way, which we will get to. But just to be aware, one of those blank cards has marks on the face, and that we can put aside for now. The rest of the deck is blank until you get to the most precious cards, and including the Queen of Hearts here, you will have the cards that we talked about printed in the order in which they're printed. The 6 of clubs, 5 of clubs, 7 of clubs, 7 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds. This is important as well, the Queen of Hearts, which sits after the stack, and I'll explain why in a sec. But these 7 cards are your secret crib that's going to allow you to perform this trick. This crib will allow you to divine any thought of playing card. Not only will you divine the card that they're thinking of, with no memory work and everything self-contained in the cards, but you'll also be able to tell them the card that they're holding in their hand, which is going to secretly be one of these cards. Okay, one of these 6 cards. On top of this stack that you receive, which is very precious, is a thicker blank card. Now this thicker blank card is a shimmed card. This is a very important part, a very important gimmick, because this is going to act as our holdout, and it goes hand in hand with the last thing that you find in the box, which is a very strong neodymium magnet. So this card will stick to this magnet.
We should explain as well so people don't think they're seeing a separate magic trick. Inside this card, this is 2 cards that have been expertly stuck together with a very thin piece of metal, a metal shim inside. So this will flex like a normal, well, feels like a card. It feels a bit thicker, of course, but inside is a ferrous shim, which is what allows it to attract to the magnet.
So the thickness is important because that's what's going to allow us to feel where this card is in the deck without looking.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Because when you spread through a deck,
Yes.
you could feel it with your thumb very easily.
And it's purposefully been built with a certain type of glue, like you said, is flexible, because some glues crack and they're very stiff. It's purposefully built in this way so that you can bring it in and out without any sounds, so that the gimmick doesn't break when it is flexed, like you normally would dribble a deck or spring a deck. You can do all that with this card in the deck, and it will still remain together. So that's everything in terms of what you receive in the box. And now I'm going to talk about the actual method itself. So we'll just look at these crib cards. So basically, if you think about the method, what I've realized is that when you spell to a certain card, any card, the lowest amount of letters that you can spell to is a card that spells with 10 letters. Okay, this is the ace, the 2, the 6, and the 10 of clubs, for example. That's the least amount of letters that can be used to spell a card.
Yeah.
So if you look at them in terms of the amount of letters, you have cards that spell, the lowest amount is 10, okay, the ones I just mentioned. Then it goes up, you can have a spell count of 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. The highest amount of letters you can use, like the Queen of Diamonds, for example, is basically the highest rank. Now, within each of these ranks, I've taken all the playing cards that can be spelt within that realm, and I realized that the most amount of suits that you can have in any given path is only 3.
Okay.
There's always going to be, in every single path, there's always going to be one suit that doesn't spell in that area.
Okay.
Which is really interesting, and that's what led me onto the method. The method here is that these cards have been very specifically, almost mathematically selected to act as dividers. Okay, so each of these cards, when they spell to any sort of card, is going to tell me, by looking at the next card in sequence, not only what card they're holding, but also this card that they're holding is a secret divider that will separate higher cards in terms of value and lower cards.
So
and I'll be able to get to those regions by the card that they're actually holding.
So let's just sanity
I know
check me.
it kind of sounds a bit
It is a bit
confusing.
of a strange one, but I think, if I'm understanding correctly, if you know how many cards have been spelt when the spectator does that, that's immediately dramatically narrowed down the card they can be thinking of.
That's correct.
And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get close to the card they're thinking of. Is that right?
So within the actual action of them spelling their card, 1 card per letter, it will bring them to what they think is a random card. In reality, it will bring them to one of our cards in our stack. When they take that card in the stack, the next card in sequence will be my secret crib to tell me not only what card they're actually holding,
But what card they're thinking of.
yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of what card they're thinking of, it can either be the same suit as the one in their head, so it can match the suit. It can be the same color but a different suit, or it can be a different color, but it can only be one suit. So there's only 3 options. It'll either be the same suit,
Got it.
it'll either be a different suit but the same color, or it will be a different color, but there's only one option. Every time it's a different color, there's only one option, which is the kind of eureka moment when I was discovering this, that having those 3 components each time allows us to get there. And just to point out, that's talking about the suits, but in terms of the value, so for example, this is a perfect example. Let's say they're thinking of the ace of clubs and they spell to it. They're going to be holding this card, and it can either be, the cards they're thinking of, an ace or a 2, which is the same amount of letters as the value 6, or it can be a 10. There's no other values in that system or in that path that can be spelt. So just by me knowing whether he imagines more detail on the card that he's holding or the card that's in his head, it tells me where his card is sitting, and I can divine that. And it's worth noting that none of this has to happen in your head. We're going to show you exactly how you can get to that card just by within 1 second by quickly peeking the back of the playing card that's in your hand.
So for somebody that's sat at home, the easy
Yes.
way to think about this is if you say to someone, think of a card,
Yes.
and you try and guess that card, you are fishing in a pool of 1 in 52. What we're trying to do with this method is before you start asking any questions, you've got them down to just a handful of cards. So you know it's going to be one of a handful. So really all your work is then is just to try and work out which of those handful, but that's so much easier and you're going to explain your process for getting that.
And you know what, I'll lay these out like this and we'll put this on screen, anything that needs to be shown on screen to help. But essentially, what's happening here is they're going to spell to a card, and we're going to move this way, right? So they're going to spell to a card, and let's say they're holding this card. I will be looking on the back of this card to divine all the information that he's thinking and holding. If he spells to a card and he's here, I'll be looking at the back of this card. So this is the reason why it's important to have them in order, in the order that we've said, is because like a chain, the card that follows the sequence tells me everything about his card. And that's why we have the extra Queen of Hearts. The Queen doesn't really matter, but the back does, because the back refers to the last card that can be spelt in sequence. So again, just to clarify the overview, the least amount of letters required to spell is this card. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you count the letters in 7 of diamonds, it's 15.
Yeah.
Okay. So I now am going to show you just the 3 cards that are, and over time you'll learn this, but the 3 cards that are actually the most ideal cards within a performance. It's the 6 of clubs and the 2 diamonds here at the end, the 9 and the 7.
And these don't have to be the cards they're thinking of, they just has to be the cards they've ended up on when they've spelt
Yes.
to the card they're thinking of.
For example, if I'm looking at the back of the Queen of Hearts and I know, and again we'll get to the markings in a sec, this card will tell me he's holding the 7 of diamonds, and I will know for a fact that the card he's thinking of can only be a diamond. It's going to be either higher or lower in value, but I know the suit, I know the colour. Same thing goes with the 9. So if he's holding the 9 of diamonds, I know he can only ever think of another diamond. And the same goes for a 6 of clubs. If he's holding that, I know he has to be thinking of a club. In those circumstances within performance, I want to remove any aspect of fishing. And again, this whole thing's constructed so it doesn't feel like we're fishing. But nevertheless, when I know I'm in these circumstances, I'm going to basically tell the participant, you know, you don't have to let on, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I can see these as the same color, the card, and actually the same shape, the same suit, and it's the value's different, right? And then when they confirm that, I can then just ask the question about higher or lower, which we'll get to in a minute. And no, but those are the 3 cards basically, that the 6, the 9, and the 7.
They'll take the least questions to whittle down to
well,
the card
yeah,
they're
yeah.
thinking
It's
of.
only one step. When you know they're holding those cards, it's only one step. That's what I wanted to say. So let's now look at the markings and look at the position of the markings.
Yeah. Well, and when we do this,
Yeah.
obviously you're watching on camera, and even though we've got big zoom lenses on these cards, we
Yes.
will also put this on an animation on screen so you can follow along much easier. But I would definitely encourage people to be holding the deck in your hand as you do this. Like, you're not going to do any damage to the deck. Have a look at these marks
look at the cards
and
as we
follow
go.
along as we go.
So like, for example, let's take the 5 of clubs, okay, and look at the back. So, George, I'm going to show you this in terms of the positions of where the markings sit.
Tell you what, shall I hold it so then this camera can also see it as well while you point them out?
So if I'm looking at the back of the 5 of clubs, I know what card he's holding because in the heart, in the center at either end, it will tell me the card.
The
You can
6 of
see
clubs.
it says a 6 and there's a C, so that's the 6 of clubs. Now, as I said before, he can only ever think of another club if he's holding that. And we know that because directly to the left of the heart, in the top left corner, is the butterfly. And the butterfly acts as another divider. It's like a binary system. Above the butterfly and slightly to the right, you'll see that the marking says 10C, which means the 10 of clubs. This is the higher value that he could be thinking of. And when I say higher, I mean he would be looking at this card and he would know the card in his head has more detail on it than the card in his hands. And if the card in his head has more detail, then I know it's the 10 of clubs. If the card has less detail, you look beneath the butterfly and you can see it says A to C. That means the ace of clubs or the two of clubs. Now within the presentation, I give the example of ace of clubs when I spell, and that is basically removing that as a card they can think of. But even if they do try and think of that or whatever, it's still there and we'll still get to it.
So the marks on the back of the card you end up on tell you every possible card they could be thinking of.
Absolutely, and it all happens when you get good at this, it all happens within the space of less than a second. As soon as I say to the spectator, look at your card, as soon as they look at their card, I look down and I see what card they're holding, and then I'm now going to talk about the positions of where we peek the second time we peek. So let me talk about the positions now, even with this card. If the card they're thinking of is the same suit as the one in their hand, you always move to the left from where that heart is at the top. So you see what they're holding and then you move to the left if you know it's the same suit, and then you have the higher and lower values. If they're thinking of a card that's a different suit, but it's the same color as the one they're holding, we move to the center heart on the left. So down the left-hand side, in the center is a heart. Now above that heart will be the higher values they could be thinking of, and beneath that heart is the lower values. And this is all to do with the card they're holding. It's whether it's higher in value than the one they're holding or lower in value.
Mm-hmm.
If the card is a completely different color to the one they're holding, we jump down to the bottom left. And again, the butterfly will tell you whether it's above the butterfly is the higher values they could be thinking of, and beneath is the lower. So we're going to go to the next card in sequence and we'll actually show you the scenario here.
Can I just recap to
Yes,
make sure I'm
please.
following?
Yeah.
So if we're in this area here,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same suit as the card that's in their hand.
Yes.
If it's here, it's a different
Same color.
Same color,
Different suit.
different suit.
So it's, yeah, so same suit, same color, different suit, different color. It's only ever three options.
So you've got three areas. So you've got here, here, and here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Got it.
and all I'm doing is once I've established whether it's the same color, same suit, which by the way, the spectator, thanks to your friend Jeff, if
Yes.
you want to give the credit now.
Oh yeah, Jeff Koch, who's an amazing magician that works as Vanishing Ink's CFO. I
Well-
have to be nice to him because he pays my salary.
And I want to be nice to him too because
He
his
also pays Christian's salary.
yeah. Well, his idea was fantastic. When I was developing this in the initial stages, my presentation was a very kind of simple but flowing binary system of asking questions. And he pointed out that actually just by asking the spectator if they're close, their initial expression will actually tell you more than you realise.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
right.
Yeah,
so
that
his
was
first question was,
and it wasn't even a
do
question.
you see
it's
any
just-
similarities?
yeah, and based on that, it just gets us there quicker by watching, them. We can still affirm all the things we want to, but
Yeah.
the idea of not saying what I used to say and what his suggestion is and how it's become, we'll get to that in the presentation. But
Could I just make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Why don't we just have a look, because this card has quite a few marks
yeah,
on it.
sure.
Let's have a look at a card that has
So
more
we're
marks.
gonna move along in sequence. So if you guys at home want to pick up your 7 of clubs, okay, that means they will have spelt and they'll be holding the 5 of clubs. And we know that because on the back of this 7 of clubs, in the middle, you have 5C. So I know that they're holding the 5 of clubs. I also know that if they're thinking of a card that's the same suit, and I move to the left, you'll see here the butterfly. Above it, you have 9 Jack K of clubs. Now that can either be a 9 of clubs, a Jack of clubs, or a King of clubs. Those are the higher values. Now that might seem like a lot, but it's not when it comes to the presentation. It's actually just, I get there straight away. I'll come to that in a sec. But for now, those are the higher values they could think of if it's the same suit. Beneath the butterfly, you see there's just one option, which is the 4 of clubs. It's one card away from the 5. It's very close, and that's a beautiful outcome. So if it's if it's the same color, different suit, we move to the center heart. You'll notice above it is the 6 and 10 of spades. So if they're holding the 5 of clubs and their card's the same color but a different suit, and the card in their head is higher in value and has more detail on it, I now know it's either the 6 or the 10 of spades. What you will notice also is the 6 is one value away from the 5, so it's very close. Whereas the 10 is close, but it's not, and by asking, say, is this very close? Is it close or very close? You know, their expression will tell me which one it is without them saying anything.
Well, the way I always think of this is if you were to say to me, if you were to ask that question, is this card close? If I answer yes, you can hedge your bets often. Whereas if I kind of and ah a bit about it,
Then I
that's
know,
sort of where
yeah.
you know.
But honestly, when you perform this, you'll see, I mean, not only will you start to remember everything, so you can do this eventually without using the crib that we provide, but you'll also just see these types of reactions, and you'll know there's a familiarity about seeing how a spectator responds between a definitive yes and a kind of looking up pensive kind of, yeah, I suppose, or no, like that, you know, or they're about to say no. You can tell they're not responding. There's a silence.
The key thing to remember as well is they don't know you know the card in their hands.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you've got so much
wiggle.
wiggle.
The whole idea that the effect is presented, the deck's shuffled, they spell to a card by way of a ritual, that brings them to a random card, and somehow we divine both pieces of information. So back to this just quickly. If they are holding the 5 of clubs, if the card in their head's got less detail on it, or it's a lower card in value, it will either be an ace or 2 of spades. Now, some of you might say an ace of spades has more detail on it, which is why, again, I use the ace of clubs at the beginning as an example, because it's way more likely that the spectator will not think of an ace by me mentioning it. If you're worried about that kind of thing, you can legitimately just follow up with one line saying, I've just gone for an ace. Obviously, don't do that. Go for any other card. Just think of any card and spell to it. Again, even if they choose to think of it, it is there and we're able to divine it. And I'll show you how in a bit. So last option here, if they're holding the 5 of clubs and the card in their head's a different color, we immediately jump down to the bottom, and the cards above the butterfly are either the 6 or 10 of hearts, and beneath it, the ace and 2 of hearts. For those of you who are quite observant, you'll notice that the suit hearts and spades spell with the same amount of letters. And so what this will mean, and what you'll realize, and this is why it's so easy to remember over time, is you have the same values when you have the outs of spades and hearts. You know, 6 and 10 of spades is here, it's also here, 6 and 10 of hearts. Same thing goes for here, ace and 2 of spades or the ace and 2 of hearts. Okay, they all spell the same, and therefore, you know, that's why that happens. Let's continue in this fashion. We're going to move on because I think it's good to cover all the options. You'll start to see similar patterns as we go. So now they're spelling to a card, they're holding on to the 7 of clubs, and I'll be looking at the back of the 7 of hearts. So you can see in the center, the card in their hand is a 7 of clubs. If the card they're thinking of is the same suit, you'll jump here to the butterfly and you'll see that the higher values are the 8 or queen of clubs, and the lower value is the 3 of clubs. If it's the same color but a different suit, the card in their head that's higher is a 9, jack or king of spades, or lower, the 4 or 5 of hearts, 4 or 5 of spades. Again, these values are mirrored down here. If it's a different color to the one that's in their hand, the one in their head's a different color, you jump down here. The higher values are the 9, jack and king of hearts, and the lower are the 4 and 5. Again, if you look here in terms of the values, you'll notice the patterns. If they're thinking of the 8 of clubs, it's not only the same suit, but it's one value away.
So again, close.
When it's close, you see them, they're like, yeah, it's close, you know, like.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, just in terms of the outcomes, these cards overall are psychologically very favorable. Like the 7s come up a lot, the 5 and the 6s. These are very, very appealing cards when people tend to think of cards.
And that's where you get the perfect outcome, where the card they've
to be honest, in this context, that outcome is like a bonus outcome because it's a very rare occurrence compared to the other options and compared to the effect that I created. But to be honest, it happens a lot. You know,
I think I've seen it happen 5 times.
At Magic Live, 2 magicians constantly. Yeah. I must have performed it at least 50 times over that weekend. And I'd say it felt like 25% of the time people end up with the cards in their hand. Colin McLeod, you know, like, I mean,
Chris Rollins.
Yes, exactly. Direct hit.
In fact, it's happened twice on Chris.
Well, there we go.
When he's been trying to catch you out.
Well, here's the thing. It happens a lot. So those are the 3 outcomes. 1, they'll spell to their card. When you tell them to look at it, they will be amazed because the effect is they've just spelt their thought of card. And that's what they'll think the effect was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. 2 is they look at their card, they don't react, and I know it's not the card they've spelt to, but then I'm going to get to their card. And 3 is they're going to look at their card and they're going to react. It's not going to be the same, but then I can get to where it is. So those are the kinds of types of scenarios, the reactions you'll have in terms of they'll either react really, really, really strongly and tell you that the trick's over because they've spelt to their thought of card. They'll either react with no expression and it's likely that that's a completely different card and we get to it, or they react kind of somewhere in between and again we get to it anyway. So those are kind of 3 things that the spectator will tell you when they first look at that card. So we were here in the process, now we're going to move on 1. So on the back of the 9 of diamonds tells me he's holding the 7 of hearts. If he's thinking of a card that's the same suit as the one in his hand, we move over here to the left and you can see the above values are the 8 of hearts, which is 1 away, so it's very close, the Queen of hearts, and the lower value is the 3 of hearts. If it's the same colour but a different suit, you've got the 10 of diamonds being the higher value they could be thinking of, and you have the ace, 2 or 6 of diamonds, that's the lower. Again, you might think at first it's overwhelming to have 3 options, but it's not, because the 6 of diamonds is 1 value away from the 7, and that can be part of our presentation to extract the information. Down here at the bottom, if they're thinking of a card that's different colour to the one in their hands, we know hearts and spades spell the same. So the higher values here, you have the 8 and Queen of spades, and beneath it you have the 3 of spades. So there's that crib. Now we're moving into the really juicy part. This means that I know for a fact he's going to be thinking of a diamond because he's holding one of these diamonds. Again, these are the only diamonds in your crib, so it's very easy to remember. If he's holding the 9, I'm looking at the back of the 7. Not only do I know he's holding the 9, but there's no other cribs down here, the same as the 5 of clubs referencing the 6. There's nothing else to be seen down here. Only crib is up in this top left corner. So if he's holding the 9 of diamonds, I know he's thinking of a diamond. And I know that the higher values are either the Jack and King of diamonds or the lower are the 4 and 5. If I'm looking at the back of the Queen and he's holding the 7 of diamonds, again, nothing else in terms of a crib is on the card, but I know it's going to be a diamond because they're the only crib, and I also know the higher values are the 8 and the Queen, and the lower value is the 3. You'll notice these patterns and pockets or paths are similar. Once you start to realize, where you are, you'll know the outcome you're in and how to deal with it. Now, I want to point out something else really cool. This stack, including the thick card, is marked in another way that will allow us to identify the stack within a spread. So if we look at just a normal blank card versus a card that's in stack, we'll bring this up on the screen, but in the corners, all 4 corners, we've removed a little bit of paint from the little kind of curl or twirl in the corner within the border.
It sort of looks like a red dot.
Yeah, they'll see it. They'll see it on screen as clear as day, but that marking is applied to all 4 corners. So here we're missing that embellishment on all 4 corners, and in a spread you can identify that immediately.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like we amended the same as inevitable choice. We have to mark the cards in a similar position. We haven't marked the actual border this time. We've been a little bit more discreet. We've just taken some detail away from inside that border, and I think it's just brilliantly deceptive.
Imperceptible to
completely
anyone that's
imperceptible.
not looking for it.
Again, we will get to this in a minute, but I'm going to start with a routine that they've seen.
Great.
But the main thing I want to point out is these cards, despite that they're mandolin back, they can be added to any red bicycle deck with normal faces sort of thing, because essentially our presentation won't allow the spectator to compare the 2 designs the way that we present it.
It will also make it easier to locate the slug of cards, which is a cool advantage.
Yeah, and
you've now got a double check. You've got the mark and the mandolin kind of slight discrepancy.
100%. And George knows this firsthand, because when we shot Inevitable Joyce, we did various different types of performances in different scenarios or settings, and not one of the layman spectators could see the difference. Not one person spotted it. Not one person. And we performed it so many times, right? It just isn't the case. A layperson's not going to see those sorts of details.
Before we dive into the walkthrough, I want to say to everyone at home, if you've got to this point in the explanation and you're thinking, well, hang on a second, I'm not quite following how you're getting to the card, definitely don't worry, because when Christian first explained this to me, I thought there's no way I'll ever be able to do this. And then after trying it, after 2 or 3 times, I could do it every time. So this is one of those things that as we walk through the performance, it's going to start to really, these bricks are going to start to piece together. And you're going to see exactly how it works. And we'll run through a number of examples as well.
Absolutely. So first off, the magnet. Be careful not to get this near any credit cards or your actual wallet.
Or mobile phones.
No, or mobile phones. It's a really strong magnet. So I carry this when I perform this. This is going to act as a holdout. This means I can secretly store my stack away from the deck. I can actually take it out of the deck in one action, and I can add it back in the deck in one action, which means I could have a deck shuffled, add it on within the process that I explain that I need them to do, and then take it away afterwards.
Should we just literally just show what that looks like?
Yes, so the magnet starts, for me, I'm right-handed, so I hold the deck in dealing position in my left hand. So whichever hand you use to hold the deck in a dealing position, that's the side of the body in the back pocket where you're going to put this. Now, sometimes I've attached this or I've put it inside an empty wallet just to have it higher up in the pocket, because some of my jeans have the pockets really high, some are lower. Depending on what I'm wearing on the day, if I know I'm going to be performing this, I make sure that the magnet is relatively centralized in that pocket.
And you could tape it to an old hotel key card, like whatever you want, like anything that's going to put it in position.
Now this is the worst case scenario because these pockets are really deep, but I'll still perform it like this.
Great.
All it takes is a little bit of a relaxed shoulders and dipping the hands and you're there. And again, I'll talk about my, pushing up on the ball of your foot to raise this as well.
Interesting to give it kind of up to you.
Yeah, because if I'm moving when I'm performing like this, it's very natural for me to lean back or, I'm putting weight on the ball of this toe.
There's also never any heat on the deck. So it doesn't, if you have fumble for a second, it's not going to make a difference.
So look, you've got your thick card. That starts there. Then you've got the queen on top. And then from top down, or bottom up, if I'm doing it this way, you've got your 7 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 7 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 5 of clubs, and 6 of clubs. So this is the stack that's going to be held out. I want to draw your attention to this card we spoke about earlier, which is the one that has markings on the face. I alter this ever so slightly with some scissors, or you can use a corner short, or you can use some nail clippers or whatever. Essentially, if you were to hold a deck in your dealing position and you were to take your middle finger and thumb and hold them at diagonal corners, what we're going to do is create a kind of corner short card, and that will allow me to dribble and find this card. Okay, and this is why I like to amend it in this way. Later on you can decide whether you actually want to do it this way. I recommend doing it this way, but because the cards are marked, we'll be able to still locate them anyway. So, by spreading and locating with your eyes. The reason why I like to do this though is you don't have to use your eyes. You can dribble to it and feel it, and I can get into position without looking, and I'm always with the spectator. Yeah. So what you're going to want to do is take that card, and if you hold it face down and you recognize which corners need to be trimmed, for me, if I hold it face up, it's the lower right side and the upper left side. So in these corners at diagonal opposite ends, I've actually taken scissors to this particular card. I've just curved round and cut a little bit off here, a little bit off there. So now when it's face down, those opposite corners are there. And if this is in the middle of a deck, no matter where it is, I not only can see a little gap in the corner if I look, but I also, by dribbling, I can feel it. That's where the gap, you hear, like you feel a thud.
Yeah,
so it's like
the cards sort of drop themselves.
Yeah, and I know exactly how. Without looking, I can feel and locate that card.
You do seem to be enjoying that feeling quite a lot.
It's an incredible intuitive kind of thing once you get it down. It's really useful because we're going to use it in this context as well. So this context, when you've done that, that's going to sit on top of the stack.
Okay.
And that whole stack is going to be attached to the magnet in the pocket.
So that's just gripping on. So
yeah,
so
it's literally
make sure the camera gets that as well.
If the camera can see. If the stack is on the top of the deck to begin with, and I wanted to hand the deck out to be shuffled, I can spread to that thick card. I always get a little break because it's very easy. When you have a break here, pinky break, it kind of allows the magnet to take the stack off cleanly. If you don't get a break, it can still take the stack, but there is a risk here of
You might drop
an
some
extra
cards
card.
or the
Yeah.
extra card.
So always, I casually spread the cards like I'm having someone select a card, and my thumb can feel this thick card. And then I square up and get my pinky break. So my pinky is going to sort of push up there and create a little separation on that packet. And then when I drop my hand down, I'm just going to aim for the center of the card on that magnet. So as I swing back and let go, it will attach to the pocket. So I can have the deck shuffled. In this case, with this particular routine with the blank deck, I would manage that shuffle. But let's say this was a regular deck and I wasn't worried for him to see the faces, I would just say just mix these up as much as you want. And then when I take them back at any point, and again I've constructed this within the routine itself, you can relax your arms back, ask a question, and as I do that, my hand can come back and grab that stack.
Yeah.
So I'm now loading it onto the deck. So that's how you get that stack in and out of play. Now, the actual fact of the matter is, we're basically going to be adding 10 indifferent cards on top of that stack. And that's what's going to allow the spectator to spell their card, take the next card, and us to divine it. So that's the reality of it. We're always kind of adding 10 cards to the top. But within the procedure, we'll go through each step. So we've now looked at each aspect of how to set up the stack, how it actually functions as a crib, and how to load in and out that packet. I'm going to start with the first routine, which you've probably seen in the trailer, and that's the main hex kicker ending trick. For this particular setup, it's slightly different, but we're going to go over every aspect of it. You can ask as many questions as possible.
Oh, I will.
if possible. And we'll get there. So, in this performance, you are going to set up your crib in order. This time, though, you're going to take that
Blank face marked card.
Yes.
I don't know what you were going to say.
I nearly said fart. Silly.
Okay.
So you're going to take that face marked card with the corner shorts and you're going to put that aside for a sec. You're going to have your main stack, which is going to start on the face of the pack. And you're going to have your blank deck. And on the very top of the pack is where we have our thick shimmed card. So as follows, the top card is the thick shim card. The bottom has the stack. And then this card has to go 24 cards from the face. So the way I do that when I set up is I take the stack to the top. So I'm just cutting the stack to the top. And then I'm going to count with that short card 24 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So if I drop these back on top, that corner short marked card is in the middle, 24 cards down from the face. I can then move my stack back to the face. Again, this is our thick card, and now I'm ready to perform. So this would start potentially in the box in this orientation. And the reason why we start with the stack on the face is in this particular performance to one person, I'm going to start by flashing that pack. This kind of just shows the spectator what they expect to see anyway, which is that I've taken some playing cards out of box and I'm just showing them casually as I'm talking. Just be careful when you do show this. You know your 6 of clubs is the top of the stack. Just don't spread beyond that because that's going to spoil the illusion. And this is not something I draw massive attention to. I start this particular presentation by saying we're going to kind of test your intuition, and we're going to do that by way of a ritual. And I often say, do you know what a ritual is? And I just simply explain a ritual is a pattern of behavior that can make you believe in something that's not there, which is kind of why we use them in magic, because magic is make-believe. So that might be a generic thing I might say about a ritual. The reason I say that is because I can use that line at the very end to point out that actually a ritual makes you believe in things that aren't there, and then the whole deck is blank, including the card they're holding. So I like to have that. So I say it's something to do with intuition, something to do with a ritual, we'll just try something. But essentially, and I spread these, essentially think of any playing card in a deck, okay? And you're going to spell this card, so make sure you think of any card that you're comfortable spelling. As they start thinking of that, I'm going to tilt the deck towards myself, and I'm going to cut that stack, my secret crib, to the back. I'm then going to spread towards myself bear in mind, they don't know what's happening at the moment. They don't know whether they're going to think of a card and I'm going to tell them. They don't know anything. So I'm just casually towards myself spreading and I'm looking for that marked card. I'm just going to get a break beneath it, a little pinky break beneath it by spreading and then closing everything up. And now my pinky break is separating effectively 24 cards. And this is really important, okay? So I've done that. I'm going to be very careful not to flash the face to the spectator. So after I've got my pinky break, I'm going to turn this into a shuffle just to show and expose what's happening here. I'm going to rotate, keeping my pinky in that break. I'm going to rotate everything up on its end, but you can see my pinky's still in there. And I'm going to take everything beneath or above the break, I should say. And I'm now going to take that short card, that marked short card, as a single card with my thumb. That would be the first one to come off. And then everything else can be shuffled fairly on top. So what the audience is seeing is me ask them to think of a card and then I shuffle the deck. That's it. That's what they're experiencing. Just to go back a little bit, I'm going to reverse that again, and we're in this position. So I say, George, we're going to try a little experiment, okay? It's kind of based on intuition, but we're going to use a ritual to get there, so it's a kind of bizarre thing. Do you know what a ritual is?
Yeah.
Yeah, most people do, right? But just for those that don't know, a ritual in this context is like a pattern of behavior that can sort of force you to think of a certain thing that might not really be real, and that's kind of where I'm going with this later on.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't make sense, but just go with it. Think of any playing card in the deck of cards. So now I'm cutting that stack to the back. I say just think of one, and now I'm looking for my dot mark, getting a break and saying, have you got one? As soon as he says he's got one, I said, look, we're going to try this. Again, being careful not to flash the face. I'm now going to take that short card, and now I'm looking at the deck because I want to bring his attention to the shuffle. I say, in a moment, you're going to spell into this shuffle deck, so you don't know what card you're going to get. And we're going to use that card in a really interesting way. So for example, let's say you thought of the 7 of spades. Now the 7 of spades can be found, let me show you this quickly, because it's the only thing I didn't cover. It's the only circumstance I didn't cover, and it can be found on the back of the 9 of diamonds. So if they're holding the 7 of hearts, the only other card they could be thinking of is the 7 of spades. Now, because that's a bit of an anomaly, that's the only real anomaly in the whole system, I always use it as the example. So I kind of get rid of the 7 of spades by doing that. So I say, if you think of the 7 of spades, you're going to spell 7 of spades. So that's S-E-B-E-N. You're just using your thumb to push them off. The reason why I want you to do it like this explicitly is because it's silent, right? If you were to deal, I might hear something.
Oh, clever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So S-E-V-E-N-O-F-S-P-A-D-E-S.
Yeah.
When you finish spelling your thought of card, put all of those cards to the bottom, and then secretly take the next card to your heart, but don't look at it just yet. Now what I've done here is I've spelt 7 of spades and I've got a blank card in my hand. And the reason why at this point I say, look, I've seen this one, it's mine, so I'm going to park it here, is because this acts as an anchor point of a card that's never going to be visibly switched. So it's perfect misdirection later on for me to ditch the stack using the magnetic holdout.
Okay.
So that's why I give my example, not only to show them explicitly what I need them to do, but also to put an anchor point for later on, the key to the misdirection in stealing the stack.
Yeah.
And that's why there's no deck switch here, because we're just taking a small stack out of the deck at the end. So in this position right now, what you'll see is we've got 10 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then our stack will start. So, like I said, the least amount of letters to spell is the ace, 2, 6, and 10 of clubs. If he thinks of any one of those, he'll spell that. These will go underneath, and the card that he's holding will be the card that spells to the value of 10. I'll be looking at this, knowing what he's holding, and then I'll divine the card. So, at this point, literally think of any card. In fact, just for them.
Should we say it out loud so
Yeah,
you can
just,
follow it up?
yes, exactly.
Well, should we do an easy one to start with and then do
Anything you want.
I will do.
I must say something right now. Every single outcome is easy for me. I don't see any. Of course, there are certain outcomes that are more favourable when for example, it's the 6 of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, I know he's thinking of the same suit, same colour, so I don't have to sort of pump for it. But because of the way this is constructed, I'm confident I can always get to the thought of card.
All right, well,
So
let's go for let's say the 9 of spades.
Do it. Let's do it.
So I'll talk what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
NINEOFSPADES. Those go to the bottom.
Yes.
I'm turned away at this point. I then take this card. I'm not looking at it. So you make a big point of don't look at it.
Yeah.
And then I turn back around.
Yeah. So when he turns back round, I keep my head turned away to imply that I don't want to see, because I'm not looking anyway. And I just say, give me back everything else, but you're holding onto that card. Make sure you cover it up so that I can't see anything.
Yeah.
So this is just my way of basically saying I don't want to see the front or back of that card. For any of that in the know, I always want to close doors on potential methods. So I say hide the card, and then I'm never gonna look at the deck straight away. Now on this card is my crib, okay? But I'm never gonna look. I look directly at them, and I say, in a moment, I'm gonna tell you to look at that card, and you're gonna see something.
Okay.
Now of course they are, right? They've just spelt to a card, and they're gonna see something. That doesn't actually, I'm just stating the obvious, but the reality is the deck's going to end up blank. So by me saying, look at the card, you're going to see something, later on they might think, what, did he make me see it? Or, so I'm in that reality of the card is already blank, and I'm kind of saying, you're going to see something.
Yeah.
I'll make you see it. Look, watch. Take a look at the card. Now the moment he looks at the card is the moment I look down, and the first thing I do is I look into this heart to see that what card he's holding. And this allows me to know for a fact what he's got in his hands. And from that point, it's a very easy reference point. Once you kind of get familiar with it, you'll be able to look at that and kind of know all the outcomes without looking again.
So you already know I'm holding the 7 of clubs.
I know he's holding the 7 of clubs straight away, and I'm doing it at the moment. So I say, look at it now. I'm doing it at the moment that he's looking at the card. Now, when you're first starting out at this, you might want to observe them looking to see their reaction, because of course in that moment, if it is the card he's thinking of, he'll react, and of course I don't want to be down here if he's reacting.
But this is good, because in this case it's not.
It's not, right? But having said that, if you want to practice this and look at reactions just to get used to it, you can say, so I'd say, you're going to look at the card now, right? In fact, actually, stare at it for a second. Stare at it longer, and now I'm peeking.
And you've got all the time in the
so
world.
I've seen the reactions, got all the time in the world, and I'm like this, and I'm looking at it, and I go, yeah, because I'm getting a sense there's a similarity here. And then I'll go into the divination. So the idea is here, that Jeff gave, was to let them look at the card and then say, are you remotely close? And based on that, they'll either think like this, or they'll go like this, or they'll go like this. There's different tones of expression, but I'm always going to follow up with language that I can get me there. So I always start with the colour and then the suit. So in this instance, you spelt the 9 of spades.
Yeah.
So the reality is I don't know anything, but he's holding it to his chest. I say, look at it now. How close were you with your intuition? It's kind of there, like same colour.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going straight in for the colour. I get a hit. And then I'm going to use negative language and say, it's not a different suit, is it?
It's
I
different
thought so,
suit.
yeah, because I'm feeling, so I'll always throw out the language, and I'll act as though I'm sensing it. But here's something I really want to point out, okay? I use a line about the shapes of the suits, because if you think about it, a spade and a heart are kind of curvy, and a club is curvy, and a diamond is pointy, and a spade is pointy.
Mm-hmm.
So there are similarities that can be drawn between, or differences that can be said for the shape of the suit. So in this instance, I know, if I look down here, I know that he's holding the 7 of clubs. But I also know if I look at all the other suits, the spades and the hearts have a round essence to them. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
I can talk about that, and I can know that I can get some kind of a hit. So off of the back of what I say, so this isn't a different suit, is it? I thought so, because the shape's similar, but there's a point to one of them. There's like a point, and there's also curves. I know with that line there's a point and there's curves. It applies to diamonds and spades and hearts and clubs. So I get a hit verbally.
Whatever happens, yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of affirmed that I wasn't just guessing. It affirms that I feel something or I see something, and I'm just trying to work it out.
So now at this point, you know it's the same colour and a different suit, which tells you where to go on the card.
Exactly. So now I know, because it's the same colour, different suit, I know that when I look down next time, I'm going to want to make sure my thumb's not in the way, so it's on the edge of the deck.
Because you're going for that middle section.
I'm looking at the middle section. But before I go for it, again, I'm not going to look straight away. I'm now going to tell, it's the second phase. I now say, if you were to imagine these two cards side by side, you were looking at both of them, which one has more detail on it? The card in your head or the card in your hand?
So in this case, because I'm thinking of the 9 of spades, I say the card in my head has more detail.
So I now know that he's thinking of a higher value, and the card in his hand is, I know it's a 7, so I know his value is higher than a 7. And I also know that when I do look, I'm going to be looking at the cards above the heart in the center of the card. I just want to point something out here that came to my mind. I want to hark back to my good friend Michael Murray. He created this card divination system called Isolation, and he was the first person I saw talk about detail on playing cards as opposed to value, because the reality is I could say which card is higher in value, the one in your head or the one in your hands. That feels more like a direct question, and it feels like you're giving me a lot of information. By talking about the detail, it's just one step removed.
It seems very vague as well,
It
doesn't
does.
it? Like, how could you possibly be getting much information
Absolutely. And again, this is all kind of like the inspiration came with this type of language came from Michael Murray, his springboard and his kind of isolation-esque way of divining things. Even though my system's different, I want to pay credit again for him because he's amazing and he deserves it. So
We're going to mention Michael Murray every 5 minutes
okay.
in this tutorial.
So I've established this isn't a different suit, is it? Now it's really important by saying that because I'm using a double negative. So this language implies, no matter what answer he gives me, implies that I knew. And the only way that we can make this convincing is to always follow on with a reason why, a justification. So let's give 2 scenarios because this is really important. So let's say you're thinking of in this case, the 9 of spades, but let's say you could also be thinking of the 9 of hearts.
Okay.
So the first time we'll do the 9 of spades. So I say, look at the card in your hand. It's kind of closer. There's a similarity here. This isn't the same color, is it? I thought so, yeah, but there's a different shape. I'm seeing one of the suits has a curve and the other one has got like a point. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, I see.
Do you see why I'm
just
getting a hit?
yeah.
So there's the justification.
Even though you still don't know the answer
so
you've
I've
taken
turned
out.
that double negative of this isn't the same suit, is it, into I knew that because blah, 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 blah. If I just said, this isn't the same suit, is it? And you said, no. And I go, I thought so. You'd think, well, hang on a minute. Maybe, you know. But the fact that you follow on with a justification is the key. I thought so because one of the suits I'm seeing is curvy, the other one's got a point. That makes sense to you, doesn't it?
Because now to me it feels like you've described both suits of the card in my head and the card in my hand.
Exactly. And again, that Barnum-esque statement of the curves and the points applies to all the system. So you can always use that. It's brilliant. And it will always make sense. So now let's assume he's thinking of the 9 of hearts. So I'd say, this isn't the same colour though, is it?
If I was thinking of the 9 of hearts, sorry,
Yes.
so it's not the same colour. No, it's not the same
I didn't
colour.
think so because I'm seeing this disparity between the card in your head, which I feel, and you don't have to confirm this, I feel is red, and the card in your hand, which I feel is black. You don't have to confirm it. So I'm now following on with a justification. I say yes. So I'll go from the line again because it's really cool. So I say, this isn't the same colour, is it? No, I didn't think so because I'm seeing the card in your head, it feels like it's red, the one in your hand is black. But don't say anything out loud because I really want to see if I can. In fact, if you imagine these cards side by side, so I know for a fact the card in his head is red because he's just said it's not the same colour. And I know he's holding the 7 of clubs. So I can immediately use that and I can imply that I saw what I really say I'm seeing. Do you understand?
And so you're using this to navigate yourself to the section of the cards that really only feels like I've only barely been asked a question.
No, but it's not even a question. I'm actually telling you what I think. So from the top, that scenario, you'll think of the 9 of hearts.
We're going to go with the 9 of hearts.
Just for this. I say, look at it now.
Yep. So I see the 7 of clubs.
And I say, there's something similar here. Now, at this point, he probably wouldn't answer. He'd hesitate. And I say, wait, this isn't a different colour, is it?
It's a different colour.
Yeah, I thought so. The colour in your head is red and the one in your hand is black. You don't even have to confirm it. This is what I'm seeing. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I get a hit just by framing it that way. Okay, so now I know, no matter what, I now know, if we go back to 9 of spades, I say, which one has more detail? He says the one in his head. When I look at the heart now, I know that I'm going to look above it, because whatever he says the detail is higher gives me a reference point as to where I'm going to look on the crib. So the card in his head has more detail on it than the one in his hands. If you consider the little heart in the middle as the 7, I now know that I'm going up above it to know where he is. Now, my last favourite bit. 9 out of 10 people will look at this and think, there's the 9 of spades, the jack, and the king of spades. That's 3 outs, and that's so difficult to get to. It's not. It's actually so nice, because I'm going to use the same type of language, and I'm going to talk about the detail here. So I'll say, if you consider this statistically, there's 2 chances it's a picture card, and there's only 1 that it's a number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 3 cards,
Yeah.
2 of them are pictures. So I'll say, the card in your head feels like a picture card, because there's lots of detail, or it could be really close. So I throw out, it feels like a picture card, because if it is a picture card, you'll smile and nod, because I'm literally telling you. The fact that you're thinking of a 9, I say, the card in your head, it's got so much detail, it feels like a picture card, or it's incredibly close. I'll just follow on with, or it's incredibly close. In fact, yes, I'm seeing now, it's uneven, it's imbalanced, it's a 9 actually in the corners I'm seeing. Yeah, I've got it, there's spades, this is the 9 of spades, I see the points. And the curves in your hands hand me the 7 of clubs, and I'll divine both of the cards in succession verbally.
Could I press you then? Let's
Yes.
say I wasn't someone that's particularly expressive, because I get you're quite right that most people almost give stuff to you sooner than you even ask for it. So could I pretend to be someone that's... I'm going to be deliberately awkward with you.
Okay.
And could I just watch how you navigate through it? Is that
Whatever
okay?
you want.
Great, so I'm going to still
So
think of
think-
the 9 of spades in my head.
No, actually, think of any one of these outcomes.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay, so how I'd let you spell to it, I say hold it to your chest, don't look, hold it up here. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you to look at it, you're going to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see something. I already sense there's a similarity here. Take a look.
Okay.
So this card, is it close to the one you're thinking of? No, okay, so but it's different colour to the one you're thinking of. Same colour. So there is close in a way, but it's a different suit.
It's different suit. Yeah.
Yes, this is what I'm picking up on. One of the suits I'm picking up on is very pointy. The other one's quite curved. The question is, and I don't want to make it a question because I want to see if I can see into your head. In fact, do me a favour. If you were to imagine these 2 cards side by side,
Mm-hmm.
which one would you say has more detail on it? The one in your head or the one in your hands?
In my head.
Okay, so that's going to be much harder then. Okay, so focus on that first then. Just think of the one in your head.
Yeah.
This isn't a picture card, is it?
It is a
I
picture
thought so,
card.
because there's so much detail. I'm seeing reds and blues, and there's 2 little flicks in the corner. It's almost curved. I'm seeing straight lines and curves, so this must be a spade because of the point. And I think it's a king in either side. Do you think of the king of spades?
It's so annoying.
You
because
think of the king of spades?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You're trying not to react. It's kind of in the world of enigma. What you'll realise is, if you're doing something with the spectator and you're throwing out language, and you're looking at them, you're smiling, they're going to reciprocate. If they're not engaging, then
can I ask
you know
this?
it
So
just never happens. It's just not how it works.
the reason I chose the King of Spades there is because I wanted to press we had that sequence of 9, Jack, King of Spades. And so I wanted to see how you went between them. So am I right in thinking when you were talking about the flick in the bottom, that's where you were kind of going for the Jack, but then because I was like, no. That's where you're thinking, okay, so it's probably the king. So you're toying about with those lines
Well, it's
again.
not actually how I normally handle it, but that shows kind of how improvisational this thing is. What I'll normally do is I'll say, wait, this isn't a picture card, is it? Because I'm seeing a lot of detail. They'll agree with me. It's a picture card. And I go, this feels like a jack or a king. Focus on which one it is.
Yeah.
And based on that, saying it feels like a jack, if it is a jack, I get the reaction. If it's not, I say it feels like a jack or a king because it's very high. I'm going to go with a king of spades.
That's a more surefire way you can go about it.
Well, it is. It's just a way. I mean, but you have to understand this is in one succession.
Yeah.
Do you know? The whole thing flows in one way. It's very weird breaking it up in this.
So what would you encourage people who are, the audience at home who are watching this for the first time? I guess you'd encourage them to be a bit playful with it, be prepared to go with the flow a bit, and remember that you always get a hit with this trick.
Yeah,
So
at the end of the day, a card trick is pick a card and I'll find it. Right now, the deck's been shuffled, he's thought of any card, it's brought him to a random card that he knows I cannot know because he's hiding it. I can reveal that card that he's holding. And that could be the whole purpose of getting him to think of a card.
Yeah.
It's a bonus because I'm going to tell him both cards and I'm going to do that sort of at the same time. But just acknowledge that, you know, we know exactly what card they're holding, so we know surefire that we're going to get a hit in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
They don't know the deck is blank. They don't know about what's coming next. They don't
Yeah.
have any inkling on any of this. So, what can I encourage from people at home is just not to be, because of the context and the reality that he knows he's holding a random card that I couldn't know. To divine both things is very special. And therefore, don't shy away from the method.
Yeah.
Lean into it. I also use, just to point out, you'll notice before I get him to look at the card, I sometimes say, I sense there's a similarity here already. Like I'm feeling something. Because don't forget, in the premise, I've talked about intuition. It's going to be our intuition. So,
and this was sort of Jeff's thing as well, probing them as to whether they see the similarity as a way
Exactly.
of helping you.
Exactly. So just one more time, think of another one of these outcomes. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay, so you spell through it. I say, look at the card now.
Mm-hmm.
There's something similar here. I can't. Are you seeing a similarity? There's something,
No.
even though you might not be aware. Are they different colours? The one in your head? Yeah, because one's pointy, one's round. There's something going on here. Focus on the card in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, this one is red. The one in your hand must be black.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm sensing. Yeah. I'm seeing it. The more you think about it, the better it is, or the easier it is for me to see. Just tell me one thing here. If you imagine these two cards side by side,
Mm-hmm.
we'll start with the one that has more detail on it. Is it the one in your head or the hand?
The one in my hand.
Okay, I thought that too, but we'll start here because it's really hard. So visual, I'll look away. Just look at it one more time. Okay. Yeah, so this one is a black card. I'm seeing it's round. I'm gonna go with a club. Go back to the one in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, it's gotta be. I'm seeing 4 pips out the outside. This is the 4 of hearts you're thinking of. And so the 4 of hearts you're thinking of, and hand me the 7 of clubs.
There we go.
Yeah.
So out of interest, if I'd gone for the 5 of hearts,
Yeah, so-
what would you have done?
So this I want to credit. This credit needs to go to, is it Delvin? No, what's his name? Devon Knight. Devon Knight. He had language on. I see 2 pips or something. He said, let's say it's a 3. He would say, I see 2 pips.
Yeah.
And he was discerning between a 3 and a 4, or maybe is even the 4 and the 5. The idea was it's 1 pip away. And he was verbally saying one of the options.
And then you're waiting for their reaction.
Waiting for their reaction. And then if they don't react, you add the extra bit of information that completes it. So if you notice, a 4 and a 5 look exactly the same apart from the center pip. So if he's thinking of the 4 of hearts, I would say to him, I see 4 pips. And by literally just spelling them out in the air as well.
And
If
anyone's
he's
going
thinking
to
of the 4,
react there.
100%. If they think of the 4 of hearts and I go, I see 4 pips,
Yeah.
and I smile and I nod they're going to react.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of a 5, I go, I see 4 pips, 1 in the middle, this must be a 5. And
Yeah.
immediately, I don't hesitate, this must be a 5. Again, even if you've got the most stern spectator thinking of a 4 who doesn't give it away, so let's say you're thinking of a 4. So I go, I see 4 pips around the outside, 1 in the middle perhaps. Is this a 4 or a 5?
So if I say 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. Okay, that makes sense. Why? So again, look at me. I'm asking, is this 4 or 5? It's definitely.
Which is still
Again,
remarkable
of
because you've
course
gone
it is.
from.
This is why I'm trying to say this is, in a performance to a layperson. This is amazing that we're seeing something they're seeing, and even if they say, is this a 4 or a 5? And they say, okay, the 4, yeah, but the one in your hand's so much harder. Oh, 7 of clubs, is it? And then
you're building up your
even if I'm
frame.
asking,
Yeah.
even if I'm asking the question, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't, it's the system that allows for all of this.
All right, so we've covered a number of outcomes there. Let's continue from where we were in the trick. So you have revealed my thought of card
Okay.
and
Yes.
the card in my hand now.
So during that process, I dribble the cards, and this is why you'll
The
see on
short
the
card.
bottom of the deck, you've got a couple of these in the stack, and then the short card is above it.
Yeah.
So what will happen when I dribble, during this, it will drop these 3 cards. Without me looking, I can get a break. And what's going to happen after I reveal all of the cards on the back, I can cut this to the top, which puts the blank card on top and the stack back in position.
And just to clarify that, once you're done with the markings on the back, that's when you do this. You don't want to be disturbing
exactly.
that card until then.
I usually, thinking about it, as soon as I take the deck back and I say, when you look at the card, I get into position in that point. So I've actually got the break.
Right.
Then I do all the divining, and then after I've done it, I can cut that straight back to the top.
Got it.
Now the reason I do that is because it gives me this blank card, which I'm going to do the easiest switch of all time because the trick feels like it's over. I divine the one in your head, you're thinking of this, and hand me the 7 of clubs. So at this point, the trick is over. I've divined both pieces of information. And
that is a thought of card and a chosen card,
Yes.
both being divined.
Yeah, and that the effect is over.
Yeah.
What we're about to do now is the kicker.
Yes.
What I will say though is this is a relaxation beat, and I use this to do a top change. So either I'm going to take the card back and I'm going to look at it and go, yes, as though I'm so glad I got the information. And in this presentation, I am showing the faces at the beginning, so I am allowed to look at this. In the Hypno Hex version that we'll go over, I don't want this to ever be seen because apparently there's no cards from the beginning and after. It's just there's never been any cards, and somehow they visualize something. So in this instance, I take the card back and I often to myself, I say 7 of clubs, and I look, I go, yes, oh my God, and I relax, I laugh. And it's in that motion that we do a top change. Now, one of the top changes I quite like is to bring it local to the deck and to use a kind of overhand, like a biddle grip
Yeah.
type thing.
This is
So
in some ways even easier than...
I think it's easier, yeah. I'll go over both, but essentially the blank card is on the deck. I actually get a break just to give a little bit of air between the two, and I often take this card and have it locally on the deck like this, so that I can flip it face down and lift a double. And what I'm doing is just lifting both of those cards together, and I use my thumb to just peel off that top card. And I do this under the guise of them reacting and me looking at them and seeing. So I look down, they'll look down. If I look up, they'll look up.
Yeah.
And I just see when I get that moment. And again, look, I'm just going to peel that top card off. So I'm not going to make a move out of it necessarily. It will be like this, and then I'll basically bring this hand away. Is this the best way to maybe here? So here, grip from the top and just peel this away. Again, this happens on the offbeat. So if you were holding that card,
So,
and I'd say, oh, you're thinking of the 9 of spades.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, the card in your head and the one in your hand. Hand me the 7 of clubs. Yes! Oh my God, that's so cool. In fact, hold your hand out for me.
And
Do you see how I
invisible.
move around and I look and so now I say, actually, hold your hand out. Hold on for that for 1 second because I told you that we were going to perform a ritual. Now, at this point, I've just swapped those cards over. He's holding the blank card that he thinks is a 7 that he just handed me. I want to put him in a position where he feels like he handed it to me and I handed it back. So
well, I
you
actually
wouldn't expect it.
I was going to say the first time you did this on me, I
Yeah.
didn't remember handing it back anyway. So.
Every time, that first time you do it, it's the same. It's like, no, continue to hold it for a second.
But you now
because
have the slug
I
of
forgot.
cards on the deck, so all the cards that you need to get rid of are now back on the top of the deck, right?
Exactly. Everything's in position. So I now spread. I say, this isn't some pick a card trick. And
Yeah.
then as I say that, the thick card will stand out and I'll get a break.
Yeah.
This isn't some pick a card trick like this. You thought of a card. I managed to divine the 7 of clubs and the card in your head.
Mm-hmm.
All thanks to you. But I haven't actually shown you the card I looked at. And the truth is, in performing this ritual, I think it's allowed us to see something that doesn't actually exist. For example, this. Now, as soon as I bring attention with my right hand here, I can drop this hand down and let go of that stack.
And so that's now just going to go and attach that stack onto the magnet.
It's disappeared, yeah. So I come, and I sometimes do it when I come here, because then I come back to this position. and I show it, I say that never existed. In fact, when I shuffled at the beginning, and you spelt to any card, it wouldn't matter how much I shuffled or where you'd spell to, because none of these cards have existed. None of these cards exist, just like the card in your head. So I use that line, I say, none of these exist, just like the card in your head, right? It doesn't exist. And then I pause for a beat and I say, and the card in your hand.
And that's the real, like...
Yeah, well, that's...
And then you're left with an examinable blank deck. I challenge anybody here to find a trick where you get to reveal a named card, thought of card, and end with an examinable blank deck.
Well, it's true. So they think of a card, you shuffle the deck, they randomly spell to a random card, you divine both pieces of information, and then suddenly everything is blank. Was it even real? They can look at everything. They're like, I'm sure I saw a card. Like, I'm sure it was real. And you say, well...
So that's
crazy.
the blank deck kicker.
Yeah, so that's the main kind of...
The main handling.
Yeah, because this is more of a kind of magician's handling for walk around. Like if you were to do something and it's got that...
And you get three
it's got that
really
kind of...
amazing reveals in this handling as well, which I think is nice. We're going to, in a second, talk through, I know what is your favourite handling.
Yeah.
But with this one, you get the reveal of the chosen card, the thought of card. And then somehow, even though they saw in their heads a full printed deck at the beginning, it's now a blank deck, completely inexplicably.
Yeah, and the card they were holding. What I want to point out is this is an anchor. Like I said before, this acts as misdirection to get rid of the slug, our stack. But really, it also is psychologically convincing because they know for a fact that that card hasn't been switched. They also feel for a fact that this card is the same card they were holding because it all happens in the reaction. So when they react, when I react and it's switched and I say, no, continue to hold it for a sec because I forgot to show you this, you're now putting that back in their hands. They feel like they've always, and I sometimes reference it as well. I say, you know, how could I even told you you're thinking of the 7 or the 9? So I again just imply that's the 7 and the 9 or whatever. I'll reference it again verbally. But I say, but the truth is a ritual. Do you remember I said it's a pattern of behavior that can reinforce a belief system that might not exist and might never be there. Yeah. Because actually from the beginning, this card was never even real. None of these are real. In fact, the card in your head isn't even real. It's not even there, just like the card in your head and the card in your hand. And I'll just wait until they say there's no way, and then everything's blank.
So we're in the perfect position now, I was going to say, let's show the reset at this point, because we can go into the next handling, which is, you call it the...
Hex Hypno.
Hex Hypno.
So this is messy now, but what's actually going to happen is they're going to end up with this card, which is the short card. That's the one that changes in their hands.
So we'll fish out the short card.
So that's already there. So if you want to collect these up, sort of thing, after you've done your performance, you want to reset. You can collect these up. You then can take this back. What I do is I count first. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 to 3, 24. Right. So I now loaded that back into position, and on the top of the deck, I can just pull the stack back. And the stack is something you do need to readdress depending on the card thought of.
Yes.
So just to quickly say, that's why we put it on the box.
Handy reminder.
So you cut all the stack to the face. Again, that puts the magnetic card on top where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. The 6 of clubs, 5 of clubs, 7 of clubs, all of those clubs are together in the first portion of the stack. So 6, 5, 7, I just readjust the order. And then 7, 9, 7. The 7 of hearts, I remember, is curvy like the clubs, so it's next to each other. And I'm alternating 7, 9, 7. And then the queen goes on the face. So that is now reset. The trick is reset. I'm ready to go again.
So I want to try something a little bit different, okay? This is kind of a mixture between imagination, intuition, and a ritual. Do you know what a ritual is? Probably, right? It's kind of like a pattern of behavior that reinforces a belief system that might not exist, might not be there, which is why we use it in magic, because magic is make-believe. So what's really important is that we start with a shuffle deck. This has to be random. And in fact, I'm going to let you in on this. I want you to see here, there's no visible sequence of these cards in terms of numbers, values, and stuff. You can't, right? Yeah. So, Shay, in a moment, you're going to visualize any playing card. You can change your mind as many times as you want, okay? And yeah, you're going to visualize it, and we're going to test your intuition by having you perform a ritual. So you're going to spell whatever this card is that you're thinking of. So for example, if it was Ace of Clubs, you would secretly spell ACEOFCLUBS. When you finish spelling the entire card, one card per letter, you just stick these on the bottom. And then what's important, you're not even going to show the cameras, you're going to take the next card secretly without looking at it. Okay. You're going to hold it against your heart. And only when I tell you to look at it is the moment that you take a peek. Again, I'll show you as well because I want you to see. And this is my card because I spelt to it entirely. Have you got a card in mind? Yeah. Okay. So hold your hand over the deck for a second. Does that card feel right or would you like to change?
Yeah.
No matter how many times you change, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a specific card in mind. Okay. Tell me when you have one.
Yeah.
So take the deck under the table. I'll look away as well. Can't hear anything. You're just going to secretly spell one card per letter and then take your card to the bottom and that random card that you spelled to. This is why we shuffled, right? We don't know what card she's going to get. You're going to hold against your heart. And you're going to tell me when you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, so park those on the bottom.
Yeah.
Take the next card without looking at it and hold it up to your heart and I'll take everything else. This is great. So look, this is why it's based around intuition. When I tell you to look at that card, only then you're going to look down and you're going to see something.
Okay.
Okay, so take a deep breath in. And just to yourself, don't even let the camera see, just take a look now. There's something interesting here. Did you see a card?
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the same card, is it?
No.
No, but would you say you're quite close?
Yeah.
It's like same color?
Yeah.
Same suit?
Yeah.
Are you like close or very close?
Very close.
Oh! So look, this is why this is going to be interesting because I want you to think of both the card in your head and the card in your hands.
Okay.
Just imagine them next to each other. This is so they look almost identical, but there's a little bit more detail on one than the other. Is that right? Take one last look at that card. Yes, I'm sort of picking up on it now. You're seeing a black color and there's four. You're thinking there's a four. Is this four of clubs? Just park that card face down on the table. Be honest. Are you also visualizing the 5 of clubs? Is that right? Oh, yes! And again, right, you've seen this, right? You see. Now, why did you see the 5? Like, why? Why are they so close? Well, I told you a ritual is a pattern of behavior that reinforces a belief system that might not exist and might never be there. Now, Richard, you're the only person who's seen all of these cards. For the first time, I want you to show Shay the card that I parked for myself. Just turn it over, have a look. And can you verify verbally, what did you see in the pack? Nothing. Nothing, right?
Absolutely nothing.
Because the truth is the card that you're thinking of is an invisible thought. It doesn't actually exist. Just like the card in your head. And of course the card in your hand. You really saw a 5 of clubs?
Yeah.
Go away.
How? How?
Oh my god. What? What?
I don't understand.
What?
Oh my god.
That is unreal.
Please, yeah, look. Keep them if you like.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So as you see there, the key difference with Hex Hypno is it's really a presentational change. The foundations of the method obviously remain the same, and there's some fooling elements I was going to say because there's shuffles that happen, and even for magicians, when I first saw this, I was like, hang on a second, I don't understand how you've had the deck shuffled there. So should we switch places? So
yeah,
I
so
can be on your left.
that's fine. So first off, there's a tiny change with the setup, nothing major at all. You're going to start with the thick card on the face of this small packet. Our stack is in order, as per usual, and the blank short card, the corner short with the markings in all 4 corners, starts on the top of the stack. Now what that means is if this starts on the top of the blank deck, I can spread to that thick card and I can ditch this stack on the magnet, right, before I begin the trick. I could take the cards out of the box, get into position, ditch it, and then have these shuffled.
Okay.
That's the idea, is either start with the stack on your magnet if you can, or just ditch it before you go into this trick.
Yeah.
Now, The difference is the presentation, but it's also the reality. It's kind of like a dual reality that's happening here. Because in this performance, this person on my left is going to experience a constant theme throughout the whole trick. For them, it feels like somehow I hypnotize their friend into seeing something that's not there, but also divining information. But they act as someone who can confirm the reality all the way through. And that's that they see that these cards are blank. And the way I stop them from spoiling it is by literally telling them, would you help me with something? I'm going to perform on your friend Heather here in a second. We're going to try an experiment. But first, and I'm going to show you this, right? This shuffle makes these random, right? Like a lottery. But here's the good part, right? If you look here, there's no visible sequence to these cards.
And I have to say no.
Yeah, there's no visible sequences, but don't spoil it for her yet, because she could think of any playing card through this.
Yeah.
So now the dual realities here. This person, I'm saying there's no visible sequence of numbers or colours or whatever, right? Because they're shuffled. This person thinks I'm showing a regular deck saying there's no sequence. I'm talking about the order because of the shuffle. But really, I'm just showing you that they are completely blank cards. And I'm just being careful when I shuffle not to flash the faces to the person I'm performing on, but anyone else I can show.
And the neat
As long
part
as
here
they
is,
don't,
I could shuffle this deck as well.
You could. Now, just to be clear, if you're doing this and you're getting them to shuffle, it's very unpredictable how a spectator shuffles. If they do this, things can be seen, right?
Could you ask them just to go under the table, maybe?
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. So I would say, look, keep them face down because I don't want you to spoil the fact that there's no visible sequence here, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to shuffle like this under the table so she can't see.
So I
Try
go
not
under the
to drop.
table, I'll do it above the table for purpose's sake.
No.
But this is amazing now because this is a freely shuffled deck. This trick's
The
about to happen
perception
from.
is amazing for everyone. So at this moment, I'm now going to set up the divination of the card right in front of the spectator.
Okay.
I'm going to load this stack in under the guise of giving the instruction of what I want them to do. So in this particular demonstration, I use the Ace of Clubs, which is a 10-card spell, like a 10-letter spell. And that will allow me to effectively get those 10 cards in my control.
Mm-hmm.
It's the least amount that I can spell to, so it's the best scenario. So I say, for example, you're about to think of any card and you're going to spell it. You're going to perform a ritual. So if I thought of the Ace of Clubs, I would spell A-C-E-O-F, Ace of, and then C-L-U-B-S. So as I spell that, I now have 10 cards in this hand. This is the easiest non-move you'll ever learn because you're going to just use your thumb to smudge the cards back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm smudging this top card towards myself, and then this is going to go underneath. I say after you finish spelling, you park these underneath.
So this example can be any card that spells 10 with 10 letters.
Yeah, it could be the ace, the 2, the 6, or the 10 of clubs.
Yeah.
So you can give those examples. Again, I like to use the ace because it puts them away from the ace of spades.
Eliminates it, yeah.
Yeah.
Or tries to.
So here, this is what happens when you do that smudge. It looks like you're just being messy with the cards, but you really have control. Your little in-jog here of 10 cards, which you need later on. So at this point, after I've spelt the card, I say you're going to take the next card without showing anyone else here. You're going to secretly take it up to your heart. Don't look at it yet. Now, the moment I do this, and I give the example, is when my arm drops and I grab the stack.
So you're now loading the stack onto the top
I'm
of
loading the stack. I say, don't show anyone. So I can lean back and say, don't show anyone.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a secret. Now I can show my friend. I can say, obviously you know the situation, but don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Because he's seen this card, I'll leave it here in front of you. Again, there's my anchor point. I've loaded the stack on now.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively, because I've got this blank card in the stack, I need to add 9 cards. And there's 2 ways I do it. I completely improvise on the day, if I'm honest. I'll show you both ways. The first way is to bring these up into an overhand shuffle situation, and my thumb's going to pull down and pick up this packet, and I'm going to shuffle everything off, which is 10 cards to the top, and then I say, remember when you spell, you're putting them to the bottom. That takes 1 away, so now I'm in position for the divination. The other way I do, and again, this is completely improvised each time, I just feel in the moment what I want to do. So the other version is we're here, and as I pull this stack, my fingers are going to hold on to one of the cards.
Oh, yeah.
So I pull the stack and I lift up. and it's just going to slip that bottom card off, which gives me 9 cards here, and those 9 cards get shuffled on top. So it just depends. Either works.
There's no better or worse.
But what's important is you've got 9 blank cards, and you have 9 blank cards, and then the 10th card is your corner short, so the method's going to work, and then you've got your stack. So in this situation, this would be handed to the person opposite.
Yeah.
They would do the spell. So
I'm going to think of a card. Let's do...
you don't have to tell me, and then we can demonstrate.
Okay.
I often look away. Sweet. Okay, I take this back. So I now know when I see this that it could be one of 3 options, because of course the 5 of clubs is either the same suit, same colour, different suit, or different colour. So I say hold that to your chest. Now, just to point out here on the bottom of the pack, it's exactly the same situation as before. I can now dribble to the short card. Okay, so there's 2 cards here. Get my break, go into the divination sequence, and be ready to cut these to the top for the ending. So I say, look at it now. How close were you? A little bit? Similar colour, right? No, it's different. Okay, this is going to be really hard, extra hard. And because, again, this person thinks the cards are blank, this is a really interesting scenario.
I'm playing the part of 2 people here. So the person
on my
you've let
left
in
thinks it's blank, so they're thinking, what's the hell's going on?
Yeah, so they're already getting a weird effect because their friends thinking
and
of
look at the
something.
language. If I say it's a different colour, right, it applies, because if he thinks that's blank, it is a different colour, it's white.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Oh,
There's
that's
dual
interesting, yeah.
reality. So I'm getting information when people are like, what the hell's going on? So I say, actually, I'll tell you what, focus on which one has more detail.
Yeah.
The card in your head or the one in your hands? Which one has more detail?
The one in my hand.
Okay, right, and then I turn to the one on my left. I say, that's really weird, isn't it? How she's seeing that. Because he thinks it's blank, so how would that have more detail?
Yeah.
You see? Okay. So now I know all the information I need. I now know he's thinking of either an ace or a 2 of hearts. It's very likely that it's not the ace, because I gave that as my example. But again, I'm going to use the same language to divine. I say, wait a minute, the card in your head, I see 2 pips. There's 2 in the middle, right? If it's the ace of hearts, he wouldn't react. I say, I see 2 pips. They're in the corners, and there's 1 in the middle. This has to be an ace, perhaps.
And that's how you get there.
Yeah, so very simple. So I say, this 2 of hearts.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as I've divined that, I know he's holding the 5 of clubs, because it's in the middle. So I say, you're seeing the 2 of hearts. And just hold that face down and hand it to me. I believe you saw the 5 of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that? He's the person I'm performing on is going to react.
Yeah.
Right? So as I take this back, same thing happens though. I'm going to top change this, and I'm going to say it's so weird that he sees things that aren't there.
Oh, so you're again letting the person to your left.
Yeah, I always, and actually I'm using that as cover.
For the
So if I, so this person, I might sometimes even get them to put it on the table, and because I need to get hold of it without them accidentally showing everyone.
Yeah.
So I say, just have one last look at it and put it face down for me. I believe you visualising the 5 of clubs. As I take this back, I say, it's so weird, isn't it? I've loaded it on, I'm ready to do the top change. I can gesture. Again, the larger action hides the small one. I'm going to hold on to this double, and I'm going to peel off that top card as I point to the person I've been talking to the entire time, saying, look, it's weird, isn't it, how...
So he's now thinking that his friend's crazy.
And now, because it's back on the table, I can say, you really saw that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You really felt like you saw the cards. Again, all the actions of the method are congruent with the presentation. So as I say, you saw the cards, I'm getting a break underneath that thick card.
And this is preparing for the ditch.
Yeah, preparing for the ditch. I say, you saw the cards, and I can square up like this and just say, look, for the first time, shall we show her what now I'm dropping. This person's going to turn that over. It's perfect misdirection. I've now ditched the stack. And saying, describe to her how the deck was the first.
It was blank.
It is blank. It's not was. It is. Every single card is blank.
And
Did
this
you? And
person's
now I
gonna
say, and this person, and the card in your head's completely invisible. It's complete. It doesn't exist, right? You promised you saw that card, or.
And it is funny how when we were filming one of the performances, I remember that I think in 2 or 3 cases they were fighting with you, going, "No, I just saw that card."
Yeah, and then this person was like, "No, it was 100% blank."
And so of course they go to turn over this card, blank
Well,
card.
it is. It always has been.
And then everything.
You saw this person is going to fight for you because, you know, this person. I swear I saw something saying, no, it's blank. It's the perfect thing that, you know, the magic exists and goes on, and the conversation is there.
Which is a
And they
lovely
can look
moment.
at these and say, of course you can look at them. They're just a piece of paper.
And it's one word against another.
Yeah. But it's really special, and that's why I call it hex hypno, because hypno infers the idea that you're allowing someone to visualize something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, the presentation angle here is really interesting and kind of distinctly different from the original handling we taught.
The original handling feels like a magician's trick, a bit like Omni deck. It's like you do something, it gets that, because they saw the deck, it's all blank, so something magical happened. It's got that impact where...
This
like
one's
like
a bit
colour
more mess
change,
with
it's
your
kind of-
mind.
This one's more
digs
kind
a
of
bit deeper.
subtle, a bit deeper, a bit more interesting.
So
This is my preferred handling.
2 handlings down.
Yes.
We've now got one more to teach, which is, I actually think, a pretty interesting one for certainly the magicians out there, because this one uses, for all intents and purposes, a regular deck.
Yeah.
So we don't have the blank deck ending.
No, so we're going to take out our short card. We don't need any of that. All we're going to need is our stack, okay, in order. So the 6, 5, 7, 7, 9, 7 with a queen. And if you want, we'll talk about 2 handlings. If you want to use the same method to ditch and basically have the deck shuffled and add it in, I'm going to show that, and we're going to need that thick card and the magnet. Also, I do this sometimes completely without the thick card and the magnet. Because we're only controlling 7 cards at the top of the deck, I can shuffle around it. The deck can be shuffled.
You can hand out packets to
You
different
can hand
people,
out
whatever
packets.
you
You can do Benal's fantastic holdouts. You know, he has this beautiful routine where they cut some cards at the table, which holds out your stack whilst they shuffle and keep cutting. And there's, I think it's called Role Player. If you haven't got it, check it out. It's amazing. I won't go into his methods, but it's a very clever way. Again, like you said, you hand out packets so that you can retain the secret stock. We'll go over both handlings now. We'll
Great.
start with the magnetic one.
We will
and we'll swap places
mysteriously
again.
clean this up.
Yeah, we'll
and
clean
when
this
we're
up.
back,
We'll get a deck, and we'll show you the next one, which is called Hexpectation.
Very exciting.
Considering we're both magicians, we
Yes.
understand, you know, methodology. What just happened when I performed that to you was something that does happen a lot, but it can go another way, and I'd like to show you that. So we're literally doubling up. I know I shouldn't repeat a trick. Please shuffle the deck.
Okay.
Shuffle the deck, yes. And think of any other playing card.
Yeah.
And just to give them an example, if they're only seeing this, you're going to spell that card from a shuffled deck, right? You're going to spell. So, for example, if it was a 6 of clubs, you would spell SIXOFCLUBS. So you completely spell your card.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether it's here or not. I won't know.
Okay.
And then you're going to secretly take the next card after the spell, and you're going to hold it to your heart. But don't look at it just yet. And again, just realizing as I'm dealing, it makes sound, so you can count them like this.
Yeah, I'll do
Put
that.
them to the table. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, the important thing is it's a shuffled deck. You're thinking of any card, and it will bring you to a card. And we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take everything else. And you haven't looked at it yet?
No.
Okay, great. So we're going to experience this together. I mean, you've already experienced this, so there might be a slight expectation there. But just run with it. Have a look now. How close are you? Are you to the card that's in your head? It's kind of a different colour? No, so it is the same colour. So look, I told you there was going to be kind of like a synchronicity here. So I'm seeing the 2 suits have different shapes. Is it point? Don't even answer. I'm just trying to. I'm working out the shapes. Perhaps it's the value I'm seeing as well. If you were to put these cards side by side, which one has more detail on it? The one in your head or the one in your hands?
The one in my hand.
Okay, so it's going to be harder. Look at that one again. Yes, I'm seeing it the moment you see it. The shape I was seeing was the value, which is curvy, right? So you're thinking of a 3. You're seeing a diamond. You must be holding something similar. It has to be some kind of. There's definitely a lot more detail. I'm going to go with a 7. I think you're holding the 7 of diamonds?
Yeah.
Yes! Got them both. I got them both.
We're back.
We're back. So now we're going to look at Hexpectation. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. We're going to continue these hex puns throughout this entire explanation.
We are. So this is, Hexpectation, I call it that because in this it's more of a mind reading thing that you front end by, first of all, we're not having the blank deck kicker. this feels like just a regular shuffle deck effect. Really strong one, because they think of any card, they spell to a random card, and you tell them both a piece of information. But it's really kind of more up my street with the mentalism side of things, you know. And once you get really good with the system, you know the stack, right? The 6, 5, 7, 7, 9, 7. If you actually internally memorize the stack over time and the cribs and the outcomes, this is something you can set up on the fly with any deck of cards and go into.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really cool. So now we're gonna talk about the load with the magnet, and then we'll go into a different handling. But again, you start with a stack in order. The lowermost card is going to be your thick card, and that starts on the top of the deck. Now we're adding this. I happen to have a matching mandolin deck. Even if you had a red rider back, it absolutely doesn't matter. The only difference is you'd ask them to spell under the table, which means they're not comparing two back designs next to each other. But because I have a matching mandolin deck, I can do it, get them to turn away, they don't have to hide it. And there's different ways that I can get them to the ending. So this starts on the top. I would bring the deck out, do my usual thing, saying this isn't a pick a card trick, it's more of a kind of mental exercise. As I say that and I'm casually leaning, I ditch that stack.
Okay.
I've moved the magnet now, so it's a bit higher up. So I ditch the stack. I'm now in a position to say, you know what, shuffle the cards.
So there's no restrictions here.
There's no restriction. And by the way, I took out the matching cards in this deck, but you don't need to do that, because they're never going to see, you know, if basically if this was a full deck including the matching dupes of this stack, they're never going to see them together. So they can see the whole deck. It's got all the cards are accounted for. In this case, I just took them out because I like, this deck is for that, so I use it that way. But essentially they can shuffle, and as they're shuffling, I just say to them, think of any playing card you like.
Okay, so I've got a card in mind.
Yeah, and you've shuffled the deck, which means you don't know what you're about to spell to, and this is really key to this. So you're going to spell your card. For example, let's say it was the Ace of Clubs. You say ACEOFCLUBS. So I've spelt it, I drop those to the table. Now's my misdirection. I'm going to say, look, it doesn't matter if your card is here or not. So I'm stealing this stack by spelling Ace of Clubs. I pick up this stack like this and I turn it over and I use my thumb. All the attention, I'm almost literally misdirecting by shoving cards in your face.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know, it doesn't matter if your card's here or not, and I now loaded that on.
Yeah.
But I can now add 10 cards to the top of the stack, and I say it doesn't matter if it's there or not. It's not the point. It just needs to.
So
be
you're now
done.
immediately ready. So
I'm
this
completely immediately ready.
So this is sort of the simplest of all the setups.
It's so simple, it's ridiculous, and I
Okay.
love it.
So should we just very quickly run through the motions?
Yes.
So I'm going to do mine. I'm going to spell mine.
Great.
Ha.
Take the top card without looking at it. Hold it to your heart. In fact, when I tell you to look at it, only then.
Yeah.
So look at it now.
Yeah.
It's close, right? There's some kind of similarity. This
Mhm.
is so interesting. It's the same colour.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same suit though, is it?
It is the same suit.
But it's not the same card.
It's
I
not
want you
the
to
same
imagine, because I know that for a fact, by the way, because he didn't react, you know. But I say, but it's not the same card. In fact, if you imagine them side by side, which one has more detail on it? The one in your head or the one in your hand? Yes, okay. That confirms what I thought already. Focus on that first, because it's much harder.
Mhm.
The more detail there is, the harder it is. Yes, you know what I'm seeing? You can't stop thinking about the card in your head. That's why I'm struggling, because in your head you're seeing 4 pips. There's 4. You're thinking of the 4 of diamonds.
Not quite.
Is it the 5?
5, yeah.
Okay, well that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the corners, so there must be more detail. But more importantly, the harder card is the one in your hands. I'm going to go with this. I want you to hand me the 9 of diamonds. I believe that was the diamond I was thinking. That's the one. So, yeah, again,
Yeah.
you're revealing
fantastic.
2 pieces of information from a deck that they have shuffled.
And then what do you do about cleaning up here?
I don't think about
You
cleaning
don't
up.
worry.
Well, no, I don't think about it.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing, you know, the reality of the situation is you're going to have some of the stack on the bottom. Obviously, with this handling, I've got the magnetic card in here.
Yeah.
So all I would do is take the 9 back, cut these back to the top, again, fiddle
And just
and
ditch
ditch.
at some point.
But again, if you're using a full deck and you have done that, that ditch, you're able to continue performing any other magic.
Yeah.
So the idea is, if you're set here, you can do anything you like magic-wise. You can go into this, divine the stuff, get rid of the stack, and you're done. You know, there's no. It feels like this is everything.
And as you've said, you don't need to use the shim card. You could very
No,
easily bring it in.
so
out
this is the
differently.
second sort of handling I just talk about, is using the stack in the deck. So you take away the shim card, you take away the magnet. Effectively, most of you guys who handle cards will know that you can hold a top stock in a riffle shuffle.
Yeah.
So I tend, because it's only 7 cards at the top, I tend to just do a riffle shuffle where I leave a healthy amount on top.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might accidentally shuffle into it, but because I'm talking whilst I'm going into this, like we're going to try something based with thought of cards, I can now spread and see if I've shuffled in. I say, you're not going to take out a card and look at it and remember it. You're going to just think of any card.
Yeah.
So I can go into that stack and I can remove any cards that need removing.
And the more you use
Yeah.
this stack, the more you're just going to see it
Yeah.
as kind of visual
Yeah.
muscle memory.
And so I can shuffle, overhand shuffle to retain that top stock. Again, I'm just going to shuffle. When I get close to that stack, I can in jog and throw, pull down. Again, a lot of you will have better ways
You
of
just
handling.
need to keep that
Yeah, on
slug of
top.
cards on top.
Now the real trick though is adding 10 cards. And I do that by just spreading the face of the cards and I'm just counting in clumps. So usually I count 5 cards and then a 3 and a 2. So I do it under the guise of the presentation. So I've been shuffling. After I stop shuffling, I say, look, in a moment you're going to think of any one of these cards. In fact, it's not one you see, it's just one. Just basically think of any card in a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And
then
you're
you're
gonna
set to
spell
go.
Yeah, and you're going to spell to it. Now, because these are matching, he could actually spell to the table. It doesn't make a difference, right? So if, let's say, he's thinking of the 6 of clubs, eeeiugqzfkjf. So we now know that the next card he takes, so he could spell it, these could go on top, and he can take that card. And that's one way I handle it, because now he's looking here, I can see he's holding the 6 of clubs, I know the other outcomes, it's all there on the crib, out in the open. The reason I like to delegate them spreading like this is because it's completely silent and they can't accuse you of somehow listening or you just don't want to send them down that path. You want to cancel methods before the questions arise. So that is that.
There we
So
go.
Top stock.
You know what? I would
add
like
10
to
cards.
rename this trick.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to rename it to Great Expectations.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Good film.
That was the best I could do. That was the best I could do at short
I-
notice. But now you have to
That's
rescue this.
exceptional of you to.
Oh, see?
Sorry.
Oh, I should have gone there. Right, well, now,
Are
before...
we gonna hex it
Before,
now?
should we go to the hex it
yes.
through the gift shop? I think we should stop this.
Okay.
This is excruciating.
It is.
You should close this out and
Okay,
put
well,
the people
first
out their
off-
misery.
I mean, last off, I should say thank you again for purchasing this. Thank you for investing in this system. It's a long labour of love. I'm very proud of this. It's, you know, any type of mentalism with playing cards makes, in my opinion, makes it feel like the magic exists outside of the prop, because it's more between me and them, and that's more important than the props you're using. So that's why I kind of love this. And I want you to take it out and perform it and enjoy it. And let me know any performances, tag us, Vanishing Ink, obviously, Christian Grace Magic on Instagram. I'd love to see you guys performing it. And obviously this system works in English. I have had wonderful magicians who've had translate it into Spanish
Wow.
using a crib on their phone. Basically the original effect I taught on Magic Monthly used a crib on a phone. So the compromise is you'd have to look away and look at a crib, whereas everything's now been
This
built
is
into the cards.
self-contained.
This is so like 10 times better to be able to have it right there in your hand, disguised in front of the spectator. Having said that though, I've had someone from Spain translate into Spanish. The system conceptually works the same, you just have to work out, it takes a lot of work, but you have to work out each rung of the spelling and what cards are there and find a mediating card and look at language and stuff. So if you happen to pick this up and you speak a different language and you're not performing this in English, see how you feel about trying to put it into your language, and of course contact us and let us know if you've managed to do it, and if you
For sure.
yeah, because that's super cool. Someone's done it into Hebrew as well, so
Wow.
very, very, very interesting.
All right. Well, plenty more
Yeah.
to see from this trick.
Yeah. Well, there's more to just the trick, isn't it? It's the actual.
It's a system.
It's a system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
So-
a very clever crib. To me, when I first saw this felt like not only real mind reading, an amazing magical moment as well when the deck turned blank. So two perfect effects coming together.
Thank you so much for everything you've done to bring this to life.
No, thank you. This is truly, as I said at the very beginning of this explanation, I've worked with Christian for a long time, and I think he is the cleverest magician I know. And if anyone out there wanted evidence of that fact, it is right there in front of you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.